The sun is out in Alleghany County today, but that wasn't the case 1 week ago. Last Friday, Covington streets were under inches of fast-moving water after hours of heavy rainfall caused water from the Jackson River to spill out over its banks.
And of course, as we've been showing you for the past 7 days, homes and businesses were flooded. People were overwhelmed. That led to some daring swift water rescues and thousands of dollars in property damages and loss. And so now, Lindsay?
Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich is there live with more on how the area is doing now and who's been stepping in to help out with the efforts. Jeff?
Yeah, guys, it's been 1 week since the recovery really got underway, as you said. Since then, countless number of people have worked in these communities trying to help those in need. Among them, the folks at Big Dog Towing and Recovery. Now, Kenny Wolf explains first what he saw a week ago and then goes on to talk about a higher calling he had. Let's listen.
And when the police started going door to door telling people they needed to leave, you knew it was getting bad. So we, riding around, we seen water around people's houses, in people's houses, cars underwater. It was on Facebook that this place out around Summersville and Craigsville needed food. So I told my wife, I said, I've been thinking about it all day for some reason, and I guess, the good Lord's telling me to go.
Guys, it's people like Kenny and people like his son, Kevin, who are making such a huge difference here in our local communities. And we, on behalf of all of WSLS 10, would just like to say thank you for all your efforts in helping those who so desperately need your help. Reporting live here in Callahan in Alleghany County, I'm Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich. Back to you.
1 week ago, folks in Covington and Alleghany County woke up to heavy destruction all around them.
Yeah, the floodwaters ran through their towns, into their homes, took away their cars. Watching downstream, you see the images behind us here on our big screen. Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich is there live, so it's been a week now, and looking at how the community has rebounded over that last week. Jeff, I remember when the sun came up and we started to see that damage for the first time, and wow.
It was appalling, and no doubt about it, John. And look at today. I mean, today it's sunny, it's warm. Yeah, it's humid out here, but it was almost 1 week ago today where this area got anywhere between 6 and 12 inches of rain due to a stalled out frontal boundary as storms continue to train over the same area over and over and over again. This caused the Jackson River in Covington to rise to near historic levels. It crested at 22.33 feet. The record was set back in 1985. That was set back at 23.3 feet. The Jackson River rose 6 feet in less than 3 hours. Dunlap Creek near Covington did go into record flood stage. And right now we're actually here along Dunlap Creek Road, one of the hardest hit areas. Now, thankfully today, the rivers and creeks in Alleghany County have all been snug in their banks, and we are very thankful for that. But folks are still dealing with the ramifications of what the National Weather Service called a 1 in 1,000 year event. And we are again live here in Callahan, one of the hardest hit areas of Alleghany County. Certainly improvements have been made here, but there's still work to be done, guys.
This time last week, people in Alleghany County and Covington were dealing with a much different scene. Water invaded the area, leaving many stranded after torrential rain prompted flash flooding. Tonight, we find Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich in Alleghany County in the Callahan area. He's joining us now live. So, Jeff, how is that area doing tonight?
It's certainly faring better than it was a week ago. And you've got to keep in mind, Lindsay, that just over 1 week ago today, folks here in Alleghany County were doing their everyday normal routine. Some folks were working, some folks were playing, other folks were praying. Among those impacted, those attending Vacation Bible School at Gospel Light Baptist Church in Covington when the flooding rains began. Here's what Pastor Nicely had to say, remembering 1 week ago.
We got started in the last night of the program, and thank God for the local police and fire people. They came and told us we had to evacuate the area that the waters were raising from the Jackson River, which is directly behind us, and we had salt water backing up in yards. So we obeyed the command of the local authorities, and we got everybody out. Thanks be to God for the...
Quickly today packed up and came to higher ground at Emmanuel Baptist Church in Clifton Forge for the night as the water outside of the church in Covington was starting to flow over the road. Reporting live here in Alleghany County in Callahan, I'm Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich.
So, Jeff, I know you're in the Callahan area. That was one of the hardest hit. And the other day when we were up there Monday, they were, pulling out all the furniture. How are things today, and where are they in that recovery process?
I think they've made strides, honestly, over the last 2 to 3 days, Lindsay. Jeff, if you don't mind, let's scan over here. You'll notice that the house on the corner is still dealing with the ramifications from the flood, but as you head farther down Dunlap Creek Road, conditions improve. The house next door looks like it's almost fully recovered, as is the house in yellow next to the purple house. I will say that the house closest to the creek itself is the one that suffered the most damage and is still dealing with the most ramifications from the flooding just over a week ago. So I think that was probably the way it looked somewhat when you were here just 2-3 days ago. The house closest to the creek, certainly hardest hit. Lindsay.
Flooding coverage continues tonight in Alleghany County, and that's where we find Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich. So, Jeff, you were out there. You were in West Virginia yesterday. You're up in Alleghany County today. Talk a little bit for our viewers, if you would, about maybe the differences you've seen between the two areas.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right up front that one thing you've got to keep in mind is the flooding in West Virginia is so vast. It is so widespread. Finding devastation in West Virginia was not hard. Here in Virginia, it's been a little more difficult to find a week after the storm hit. In West Virginia, several counties, at last check, I believe it was 12 counties, are scheduled to receive federal aid. Here in the Commonwealth, while there were many flash flood warnings over the last week, only West Virginia had a flash flood emergency. Also keep in mind that in West Virginia, there were over 20 fatalities, 15 of which were actually in Greenbrier County. The recovery in Alleghany County appears to be coming along fairly nicely, while in West Virginia, you need to know that there are some areas that have been completely untouched more than 7 days since the storm hit. And in addition to that, I'm going to talk briefly about the Red Cross. While the Red Cross is still available here in Alleghany County, they are focusing more in West Virginia at this point, guys.
Weather is quiet today across the Allegheny Highlands as people continue to pick up the pieces of their lives from last week's floods.
A week ago today, families were just starting the recovery process. Some returning home to assess the damage.
And today, that all continues as people try to move forward with whatever wasn't swept away in the rushing water.
Storm Team 10 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich is in Alleghany County this evening. He joins us now live. So, Jeff, of course, the recovery is very much ongoing.
Yeah. It is no doubt, and it's important to note, as mentioned in earlier newscasts, most of the focus of the relief efforts have shifted from Alleghany County to West Virginia, especially into Greenbrier County. But here in Callahan, there are still some concerns. And Jeff Morris now explains those concerns to you.
The first 2 days is your crucial days, and I was overwhelmed with help. And everybody, what can I do, what can I do? My first things I asked for was containers to put the dirt in that we were wading in. That never happened, and I really didn't know who to ask. I had a wet cell phone, no landline service. The response was great coming in, but the organization fell apart on us.
One more thing they would like to see here in Callahan, a fire truck to swing through, kind of hose down the road and get rid of all the dust and mud. And until that happens, they're actually requesting things like masks until that happens. Now, when I heard from Jeff earlier, I wanted to talk to the Director of Public Safety here in Alleghany County, Ryan Mooterspaw, and he said while the paperwork has been filed, no federal assistance has been promised just yet in Alleghany County. He also said they're having to prioritize in Alleghany County still to this day as to what's the most important thing. First and foremost, to make sure that folks have the basic necessities of food and water here. And while the need for this in Alleghany County is indeed dwindling, there is still a reminder that this disaster only occurred just 1 week ago, and they're doing the best that they can. The Red Cross here, again, as I said in earlier shows, is still available, but most of their resources are now in West West Virginia. Crews here are still making sure houses are livable for all those involved before they move on to other things. And as I said not more than about 10 minutes ago, West Virginia versus Virginia. Here in Virginia, here in Alleghany County, you had to really look to find damage. In West Virginia, you didn't have to look that hard. So I think that things have been progressing fairly nicely here in the Commonwealth as far as the recuperation is going here in the county of Alleghany. Now, again, in West Virginia, there's a lot more work to be done.
So touching on the recovery process, when I was up there the other day, Jeff, they were very much just taking out all of the furniture and cleaning up the mess that was left behind, the mud and the water. Where are they in that cleanup process now? Is all of that done?
Most of it. I will say that we are along Dunlap Creek Road, and if you go down about 7 houses that way, it looks like, honestly, that there was never a flood. As you get closer to the actual creek itself, and we are right now at the closest house to the creek, this is where we are still seeing the most damage. And yes, there's still some furniture around, but if I remember correctly, Lindsay, from your live shot on Monday, it seems like even this house closest to the creek is making some improvements, slowly but surely, because this was nasty here. This was just a complete danger zone not more than a week ago. So kudos to all the folks who live on the street and all those who have helped them, because progress is slowly but surely being made. Guys?